Hello there, it's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Welcome to the first in the edition of the Lunchtime Cafe. My name is Marco Kwakoze. Now, this is a program that will be coming to you every weekdays at exactly 11:45, just to ensure that we put you in the know as regards what is happening around us as our viewers on Camnet TV. Remember now that this program is coming to you live on Camnet TV, channel 274, on DSTV, on Topstar we are on channel 106, and on GoTV we are on channel 25. So those are the channels you can catch us on if you want to follow the proceedings of this particular program from now until about 14 hours. Now, later on the program, we are going to be getting into the news at exactly 12 hours. And also, we are going to be opening the phone lines for you to give us your thought on on some of the issues that we are going to be looking at on this particular platform. And also, remember that this broadcast is live on our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV. You can also go to that particular page and leave your comment on this particular broadcast as regards what we are looking at and what your thought or your perspective of the issues that we are looking at this particular morning, getting into the afternoon. Now, this program is aimed at ensuring that we keep you updated on what is happening at this very time. So we will be giving you stories or snippets of what is going on around right now. We will have reporters in the fields that will be giving us the happenings of wherever they are and the snippets of what we are going to be expecting in our main news at 19 hours today. So those are some of the segments that you are expected to be enjoying on this particular program as you are having your lunch. So remember to tell your neighbors and tell everybody else that there is a new program that is here to give you information and to put you in the know. So for this particular morning, we do have interesting happenings in the world of news that is happening right now. We'll be getting to understand what some of those happenings are. And also at 12, as I said earlier, we'll be breaking off for the news, and later on we are going to be giving you the viewers time to react to some of the stories that are on this particular program, so that we get to understand also what you feel and how you would love to give us your contributions. And later on, we are going to be looking at the forgotten stories. Now, these are the stories that happened 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. We want to go and look at them and where are we at this time of the day, and after 5 or 6 years, so what has happened in that particular area as regards that particular story. What has changed? Has anything been done about the particular story or not? So that's what we are going to be giving you for this particular program. Remember, as I said earlier, it will be coming to you every weekdays at exactly 11:45, so that we keep you updated on what is happening around us. Now, as we speak, a Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Gary Nkombo, gives highlights of the ongoing United Nations Habitat Assembly in Nairobi, Kenya. Now, the MP, Mr. Nkombo gives highlights of the ongoing United Nations Habitat Assembly in Nairobi.
We are full participants from the Republic of Zambia, and I'm leading the delegation. That includes the Minister of Infrastructure and Housing and Urban Development. At this summit or assembly, we have been joined by many world leaders who are dealing with the theme Sustainable Urban Future through inclusive and effective multilateralism, achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in times of global crisis. The theme, as a matter of fact, does resonate with the endeavors of Zambia to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, especially goal number 11, which is aimed at making cities and human settlements not only inclusive but safe as well as sustainable. We have given a report to the summit. We have given a report and given a status of the milestones that Zambia has set for itself, as well as achievements towards making cities and human settlements safe and inclusive. And some of the things that we shared here is the mainstreaming of the new urban agenda and the Sustainable Development Goal number 8, which we have achieved as a country at 80% and also embedded in the 8th National Development Plan. We have also given a report on the development of the policy whose vision is prosperous, inclusive and resilient urban settlements. In terms of what we expect the global community to do for us is that we are to get support in developing clear strategies of fostering global and regional synergies and addressing the urban challenges, ever-growing urban drift and unplanned settlements. We are also envisaging that we are going to ensure that adequate and predictable financing for developing countries to make impactful contributions towards addressing the urbanization challenge. We also seek to support with the appropriate technologies and capacities to transform the settlements into engines of growth that will engender the sustainable development of our country. And finally, last not the least, to develop clear measures to spur innovative solutions for rural development, as well as challenges to reinforce rural areas as a major source of food security.
That is the Local Government and Rural Development Minister, Honorable Gary Nkombo, giving a highlight of what is happening as regards the United Nations Habitat Assembly that is being held in Nairobi right as we speak. Now, Mr. Nkombo is accompanied by Minister of Infrastructure and Housing, Urban Development Engineer Charles Milupi, who also gives us a highlight of the ongoing United Nations Habitat Assembly in Nairobi, Kenya.
It's a human right. The United Nations have termed it as a human right. In fact, housing is second only to food in terms of the requirement of our population. So it is important that the government interacts with other parties, other states, to learn what they have done in terms of impacting positively on the need to house our population. As you know, in Zambia we have a housing deficit at the moment. We talk about the 1.5 million units deficit, which by 2030 will rise to 3 million. Globally, we also have an issue of those who are housed in slums, and Zambia is one of those. But globally, we have 1 billion people that are housed in slums, and there is need to upgrade those slums. And we think that by 2030, if nothing is done, the figures we get out of the United Nations through a conference like this figure will rise to 6 billion. And yet, really to house people in the modern times requires that we have decent housing where children can grow and learn. So we are here really as a Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development to learn what other nations have done, what the United Nations intends to do, and also to be able to discuss our own issues. What we have in Zambia is those figures of deficit that I've told you relate to those who are in employment and so on. But housing is not just for those who are in employment. It's not just for those who are in so-called low-income groups or medium-income groups or high-income groups. There are those who are in no-income groups at all. The rate of urbanization in Zambia, in other words, people moving from their villages, the rural areas, into urban areas, is very high. And that is how, over the years, you have had the mushrooming of squatter townships, which are basically slums. We as a country, as the new Dawn government, the president is very emphatic that we must come up with measures that impact positively in terms of the provision of housing, not only housing, but affordable housing.
That is about what is happening in Kenya, Nairobi, as we speak. It is the United Nations Habitat Assembly that is meeting in that particular country to discuss issues surrounding the provision of decent housing to citizens. For example, here in Zambia, the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, Engineer Charles Milupi, and of course Local Government and Rural Development Minister Harry Nkombo, who are representing the country there, giving us their thoughts and of course what is expected to come out of that particular meeting. Remember that you can get the details of this particular story in our main news at 19 hours. So stay tuned on Camnet TV as we bring to you the details and probably some of the resolutions that will be made at that particular meeting during our main news at exactly 19:30. Moving on. Coming back home in Ndola, a subordinate court in Ndola has convicted and sentenced Brian Mbewe, a businessman, to 18 months imprisonment with hard labor for corruption practices with public officer involving 10,000 kwacha. Now, Honorable Chimbwili, the chief resident magistrate who presided over the matter, found Brian Mbewe guilty on one count of corrupt practices and public officer contrary to the Anti-Corruption Act number 3 of 2012 and convicted him to 18 months imprisonment with hard labor effective from the date of judgment. So that is a story that is coming from the courts, and this time around this is the subordinate court in Ndola where a businessman, Brian Mbewe, has been sentenced to 18 months imprisonment with hard labor for corrupt practices. So that also is a story that you should expect in detail at 19 hours this evening as we bring to you our menus on Camnet TV. So those are some of the stories that are developing that we expect to have in our menus tonight. But for now, let's take a quick break so that we get into the news at 12.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Camnet TV afternoon menus. To present it, my name is Marco Kwakozi. Let's have a look at the stories making the headlines. Former Deputy Inspector General of Police to know her fate in corruption case. Kampasa land claimants criticized Lands Minister for labeling them as cadres. In international news, Kenya's content creators reject tax proposals. And now,
water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Another news in detail. Residents of Lusaka West have called for increased police patrols, citing various criminal activities that have made them feel unsafe. Speaking to Camnet News, the residents say a number of suspected murderers have been recorded in the community and victims are being dumped in the bush along the road. They have since called on the Zambia police to ensure the culprits are brought to book. Here's a report.
Zambia, under Sustainable Development Goal number 16, aspires to be a safe and peaceful society by 2030, but security at community level continues to be a challenge. This is an area in Lusaka West along Mungu Road where residents have expressed concern on the security around the neighborhood after the body of a man who they suspect to have been murdered was found in these bushes. What has concerned them is that the body had remained uncollected for over 24 hours after the matter was reported at Bob Brooms Police Post due to alleged lack of transport.
It was discovered that he had one thigh, the leg went up to one thigh, and then the other one is missing a foot. There's only a bone. And then also one hand has no skin. Seems like it was unskinned. We don't show. We want more patrols. In fact, even Namabas, they are operating up to awkward hours. So police should come in and make sure that they close. There are a lot of people that are going. So we are not too sure if this man belongs to Lusaka West or if he came from somewhere else.
I saw a backpack. It's black in color. And then there's a black bomber jacket. It's also black. Then there's a cape and shoes. So this is how I went there. We were in a company of some other 4 men. We went there. I hear that the police said the owner of the farm should bury that same decomposed body. Now how can he bury without information from the police? This is the question we are all asking. Yes, we need security because if such things, people report such things, we need them to act urgently as policemen in the community.
Camnet News also contacted police spokesperson Ray Hamonga over the incident.
Mati Station received a report of sudden and natural death through our Bob Brooms Police Post. This was a report that was received through Bob Brooms Police Post in which male Kachiza Manyondi, age 63, of farm number 117A Mungu Road, who reported that in his farm there was a dead body of an identified male person aged between 25 and 30 years. The same was found in a decomposed state and the legs were eaten by animals. This is believed to have occurred at a known date and yesterday, 5th June 2023 at a known time. Police visited the scene and the body has since been buried today.
The community members have emphasized on police patrols to ensure security in the community and prevent similar incidents from recurring. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Kampasa community representatives have vowed to take on Lands and Natural Resources Minister Elijah Michima over the land saga involving them and Galunya farms. Earlier this week, the Lands Minister insisted that he will not condone United Party for National Development UPND cadres to be administering land illegally. This is in a matter where some Kampasa community members in Chongwe district have been implicating area member of parliament Sylvia Masebo of working with Galunia farms to disadvantage them. But Kampasa community members in a walk-in interview with Cabinet News say the land in question belongs to the government, hence they opt to take it over in the wake of population increase in the area. Here's a report.
Land administration in Zambia has remained among major challenges the country has been grappling with. The story of Kampasa is one that continues to take turns and twists as the residents and the purported United Party for National Development UPND sympathizers, Galunia Farms and Chongwe area member of parliament Sylvia Masebo are at the center of the land controversy. On Sunday, 4th June 2023, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Elijah Muchima vowed not to entertain purported UPND cadres to be allocating and selling the said land with impunity, like was the case under the Patriotic Front administration.
Land, I've seen it. It's here. You can come and verify the information. What we don't want is, with arrogance, impunity, to start that theft. Because we are in power, no. We are in power because of you people. You need to protect everyone. We got to 2.8 million. Those votes didn't come only from the party. It came from the persuading majority of the people who had opened to us.
But this statement does not sit well with the land claimants who have vowed to take on the minister.
We are talking about Minudundeke. So where people were staying is a remainder of Farm 33A. Which was a government land. But why you minister, you are saying no, that land is for Galun, without even getting more information from us. So we are asking, we are challenging you as a minister. If you are not capable in that office, it's better you move out, then other people that can come and control that ministry. Because there are a lot of things which is happening in that Ministry of Lands. So sir, we are appealing to you, Muchima, don't address us as cadres. Because you are trying to blackmail in the name that we are cadres. So to silence us, to think the president, to think that no, those are cadres who are doing that. That is wrong. We are community people from Kampasa. And if you are saying cadres, ushema cadres wana chokela kumamba. Bankara pants.
They say the minister should have called both parties to explain their case.
Then ma subdivision anapanga in the same land ya manager amena claim at land yanga. In which title? Ma entries yalikuti. Atupase ma entries to say ma entries niya. Wala. So kulibe. Tinaenda kukanso kulibe. Tinaenda ku Ministry of Land kulinga tubakamba the same ministry yatu ise. No. Then if nga tubakangiwa kusebenza, let bachokemo because as a minister ukangiwa kusacrifice pa paperwork. But bantu community amena kwamba makadaz bakutandizira even kusacrifice. Because even by a meeting, taleta mapepa. Even president lelo, aita declare to say itanani wao Kampasa balete ma specialist. Not even work Ministry of Land, ma specialist wenangu because bakaleta Ministry of Land. Baza waita intimidate sasa karondorola because ni civil servant. So chametifuna tifuna chilungamo wafuna cheba nyonge landi jalieni badieveka chabe ndeva ni wafuna.
Patrick Soko, Cabinet News.
The new Congress Party President Peter Chanda has officially written to the Road Development Agency RDA to explain how it awarded a contract for the construction of roads in New Kasama, including the road which passes through the community house without allegedly advertising the tender. Speaking when he toured the roads Thursday, 6th May 2023, Mr. Chanda is challenging the RDA to disclose when an advert for the construction of the said road was issued and how much is being spent on the roads. Mr. Chanda has further questioned the Road Development Agency for authorizing the roadworks on a private property. Here's a report.
Opposition New Congress Party President Peter Chanda has continued to ask questions over the newly constructed roads in part of Lusaka's Chalala area and in New Kasama near the community house. The area of Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema is experiencing a facelift, being the vicinity where the Republican President resides, given that he has opted to remain at his personal house at the expense of Nkwazi House, which is owned by the Zambian government. Mr. Chanda, who recently toured the roads, went back to the site where he addressed the press that he has written to the Road Development Agency, RDA, questioning the alleged failure to advertise the tender. This fence is part of the property belonging to a well-known businessman and former associate of the previous administration and is earmarked for demolition to pave way for the construction of the roads.
We have written to RDA to question them as to when the contract was advertised, who were the bidders, and who was singled out as a successful bidder, who is the main contractor, and who are the site engineers. At the same time, we asked the Lusaka City Council planning to ask them as to when were they plan to upgrade the feeder road done.
According to Mr. Chanda, the cost for the roads and the contractor are unknown, further stating that this is tantamount to corruption, which the UPND administration has been speaking against.
Now, we have seen all the way the tarmac has been done respecting people's properties, but here where we are standing, a Lusaka businessman, after seeing the interview that we did with various media on that particular day, queried to say they've entered into this land. They've left the main feeder road that was there here in New Kasama a long time ago. That main feeder road, as you can see there, has been left behind, and they've encroached into the land en route to break the offense. So we call upon the RDA to desist from being malicious on people's properties. As you can see, they broke all the pillars that he had put without even asking. They've entered into his land. This is a legally owned land which is on title. So my call to the RDA is that we have written a letter to you and we're expecting the answers.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Zambia for Unity, Peace and Development Executive Director Ronnie Jere is saddened by the continued incarceration of Dr. Chris Zumani Zimba for a week now without taking him to court. Mr. Jere is dismayed that the law enforcement officers have decided to abrogate the law by keeping him for over 8 days, more than the stipulated 48 hours, without taking him to court. He says this is a clear abuse of authority by the UPND government, which was voted into power to uphold the rule of law.
We are saddened by the continued incarceration of Dr. Chris Zumani Zimba without taking him to court for over 8 days now. The law is very clear about wrongdoers. We are dismayed by the fact that even when Dr. Zumani Zimba qualifies to be given a bond, the law enforcement agencies have decided to ignore the law and kept him incarcerated for over a week. This is a clear violation of his human rights and a clear abrogation of the law. We demand that Dr. Zimba be released on bond or be taken to court so that he can apply for bail. President Hakainde Hichilema has been consistent in demanding that law enforcement agencies should investigate cases before they make arrests. But in this case, we have realized that law enforcement agencies went to pick up Comrade Dr. Zumani Zimba, incarcerated him without even making investigations. We make this conclusion because it has taken over 8 days now without him being brought before the courts so that he can be able to exculpate himself.
The United Party for National Development, UPND Deputy Secretary General Gertrude Imenda says the management letter from the Auditor General's office seeking to know the whereabouts of the 65 million kwacha that was recovered from Faith Musonda was prematurely released to the public as it is part of the ongoing audit investigations. In an interview, Ms. Imenda says the audit process is, however, routine and does not imply in any way that the money is indeed missing, but simply a query that relevant authorities needed to respond to for a conclusion to be made. She, however, states that the leaking of the ongoing investigations at the Auditor General's office calls for serious investigations, as this implies that there are some insiders willing to leak confidential information.
So the management letter is just part of the audit process, part of the seeking information and clarification and the examination of records and things like that. So they want that information so that they can now complete their audit report. Now for somebody, that management letter is confidential because the audit process has not completed. Now you leak that document, which means you are preempting the outcome of the audit report, because the whole idea of auditing is that the auditor at a certain point at the end of it will issue a report, will issue an audit opinion. And it starts like, we have examined the books of account, the records, and so on, and any other information, and the transactions. And in our opinion, this is our opinion. Now, that's when they will give a final opinion to say, well, in our opinion, maybe this, we have these concerns and things like that. But for me, the concern is the person who leaked that document, because it appears we have people whose loyalty is not with the current government, even though they are working in the government. Well, their loyalty is somewhere else.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Court Resident Magistrate Davis Chimbwiri has set 14th July for the ruling to determine whether or not former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga has a case to answer or not. This is in a case in which Ms. Katanga is facing one count of possessing a property suspected to be proceeds of crime. We have details in the following report.
Lusaka Magistrate Davis Chimbwiri has set July 14, 2023 as a day to rule on a case or no case to answer in a matter where former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga pleaded not guilty to one count of possessing property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime. Meanwhile, Chief Investigation Officer Drug Enforcement Commission DEC has testified before the court that Katanga already bought 5 buses before she got her gratuities. Edwin Mwanza, 44, was testifying in a matter in which Katanga is facing one count of possessing property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime, contrary to Section 71(1) of the Forfeiture of the Proceeds of Crime Act number 19 of 2010 of the laws of Zambia. He testified that Katanga bought 10 buses from Haiga Bus Company Limited, owned by Mr. Wu Ming, between 2017 and 2021. Mr. Mwanza says according to his findings, there was no single vehicle registered in Chiweka Express Limited but in the names of Katanga. He further told the court that Katanga bought each one of the buses at 203,000 United States dollars on condition of 50% down payment. Mr. Mwanza disclosed to the court that the summary of the total gratuity paid to Katanga for the period she was serving in various positions was 3,411,377 kwacha 28 ngwe. He says he interviewed Zambia police accountant in charge of salaries and revenue, who gave him the documents of salaries that were paid from January 2017 to December 2021. He further submits that it was at that point he started looking at the expenditures over the year against the known sources of income. Mr. Mwanza says in 2018, the total expenditure for the buses was 273,000 United States dollar against a salary of slightly above 342,000 kwacha. When translated into dollar, according to the exchange rate, it was translating into over 2.9 million kwacha. He says He then decided to arrest Katanga and charge her with an offense of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. It is alleged that Charity Katanga, between January 1st, 2017 and June 6, 2022 in Lusaka, jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown, did possess 10 Higer buses, altogether valued at 26,282,770 kwacha, property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
On that note, we break for some commercials, but still ahead we have international news. Don't go away.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back, and now in international news, Kenya's Financial Bill of 2023 contains a raft of proposals that intend to expand the country's tax bracket. One of the controversial proposals is aimed at subjecting income earned through digital content monetization to a 15% withholding tax. Eric Omondi, a renowned comedian, is leading content creators in opposing the proposal.
Kenya's Finance Bill of 2023 has a raft of proposals that intend to expand the country's tax bracket. One of the controversial proposals aims at subjecting income earned through digital content monetization to a 15% withholding tax. Eric Omondi, a renowned comedian, is leading content creators in opposing the proposal.
Do not attempt, do not think, do not try to tax youths, and especially online media. Do not tax content creators, because you do not create them, you do not support them, you don't know who they are, you don't know their struggles, you have never talked to them, you have never called them, you've never supported them, you want to tax them. That is theft. You cannot take money that does not belong to you.
The content creators decry that the proposed tax is too high for a growing digital economy, given that they get minimal government support in content creation.
What we earn on YouTube or other social media platforms cannot cater for our needs. So when the government comes in and says that they want to tax 15% from it, it means that they are leaving us on a negative side.
Economists also indicate that if approved, the proposal will have major effects on the income earned by individual content creators and the growth of the entire digital economy.
One of the irony in this digital service tax is levying a withholding of 15% on it. And remember, this is just a withholding tax. Withholding tax is not final. So again, the digital content creators will be expected to do their books at the end of the year to show how much they earned. In other words, after you've paid 15%, you'll still be expected to pay what is called a final tax.
The finance bill will be tabled in Parliament this Thursday, and the focus now will turn on the members of Parliament to see whether they will pass it or reject it. Ronald Agag for Africa News in Nairobi, Kenya.
On that note, we come to the end of our midday news, but before we go, another look at the stories that made the headlines. Former Deputy Inspector General of Police to know her fate in corruption case. Kampasa land claimants criticized Lands Minister for labeling them as cadres. In international news, Kenya's content creators reject tax proposals. And now we look at today's cabinet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Proverbs chapter 10 verse 7. The name of the righteous is used in blessings, but the name of the wicked will rot. We come to the end of the midday news, but remember that we are continuing with the Lunchtime Cafe, and we'll be getting into our next segment, which is the Forgotten Stories segment. Thank you very much, and welcome back. We are still on the Lunch Cafe on Cabinet TV, and we were just listening to the news in our afternoon's bulletin, and that is what the news had for us. And now we are getting into the next segment, which is the Forgotten Stories segment. Now this segment brings you stories that happened way back, and now we just want to revive your memories and see how far we have gone as regards those particular stories. And now today we start with a story where President Hakainde Hichilema, while in opposition, criticized the Patriotic Front administration for failing to protect the citizens' rights. Let's have a look at this.
These rights, in the case of Zambia and many other countries, are constitutional as well. Birth rights, but also constitutional. I think it's important to indicate that these rights are also universal. It means no individual, it means no government, even insane governments, can take these rights away from citizens of this country. I am saying that, we are saying that, Zambians want to enjoy their rights, fundamental rights. They want to enjoy their fundamental liberties and freedoms. No one, and I mean no one, I repeat, should take these freedoms away from the citizens of Zambia. PF is protecting foreigners. I've never seen a government protecting foreigners at the expense of its own citizens. Yes, every citizen of the world must be protected, but your primary responsibility is to look after your children, to look after your family members. In this case, the people of Zambia, the youth of Zambia, the musicians of Zambia, and other citizens. This is shameless. Few PF thugs who are terrorizing people are not in the world. I want to say to the people of Zambia, to the youth in particular, to the musicians, I want to encourage you to speak out. Continue speaking out on social media, continue speaking out on other media platforms, because you are within the law, you are within the Constitution, you are within the universal rights, liberties and freedoms. You are within the remit of the law. Continue speaking. If you are silenced, you agree to be silenced, it means you are endorsing brutality. You are endorsing dictatorship. You are endorsing a regime that has denied you basic necessities, food, jobs, education. If you choose to be silent, you will be directly, not indirectly, endorsing and agreeing with what this brutal regime is doing to the people of Zambia.
So that is one of the stories that happened on the 7th of June in 2020, whilst in the opposition, the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema giving his thought about the issue of protecting foreigners and failing to protect indigenous citizens. Now, human rights activist Laura Miti was expressing concern over the limitation of civil liberties also on the 7th of June in 2020. Let's have a look at this.
Expression and the freedom of assembly are not granted to citizens by governments or whichever administration is in place. Our freedom to express ourselves, our right to assemble, is a fundamental right that is in the Constitution and that we are born with. So I think the problem we are sitting with the Edgar Lungu administration is that they actually do imagine that they own citizens and that the citizens should enjoy their rights at their pleasure. When they say yes, it happens. When they say no, it doesn't. I think they need to understand that this is where the fundamental problem is. It is that you have a whole government that does not seem to understand the Constitution, constitutionalism, or the rights of citizens. And then going just a little bit further from that, the young people that are raising a question about how public money is spent, why they are so poor in a country that is well-resourced, why those in power are so rich in a country in which the citizens are so impoverished, are not insulting anybody. They are asking questions that people have been asking for a long time. There are questions that we in the Yellow Card movement raised. The problem is government refuses to answer these questions, instead bullies citizens. So the president had a very good chance now to rise above the fray. He had a very good chance to say to Minister Lusambo, this is not the way to go. It's really astounding that he chose to dive deep into this fight with young people that Minister Lusambo had ill-advisedly started. So what I would say to the minister, what I would say to the minister Lusambo, what I would say to the president is that you need to take a step back and understand that this is a fight you cannot win because you're fighting against the fundamental rights of citizens. And young people have decided they can't be this poor anymore. They cannot suffer to this extent, and or that governance cannot be allowed to keep going backwards. And that is all the young people are saying.
Now, Zitukule Consortium Executive Director Nicholas Piri was sharing his views on human rights. Now, Mr. Piri is now the PS in the Ministry of Local Government.
And so we think that the path that President Lungu has taken to come out like he's intimidating the youth, to come out like he's threatening the Zambian people to express their displeasure and discontent in the manner he's managing national affairs, we think that sets him up for a very difficult uphill battle in 2021 in terms of retaining his presidency. Unless he's saying that he is done with contesting power. But even if the president is done, we need to remind the president that he still has life beyond the presidency, and that is what is known as his legacy. Honestly, does he want to be remembered as one who never allowed anybody to voice out? The PF has done quite a number of good things. So if people are complaining, the best response we expect from the presidency is to simply point to the things that they have done, explain what they have not done and why they have not done them. We think that is a much better way of handling things.
So those are some of the stories that were happening in 2020 on this very day, the 7th of June 2020. We did hear from the current president, Hakainde Hichilema, giving his thought on the issue of protecting citizens, and also Laura Miti talking about the issue of human rights, and not forgetting Zitukule Consortium Executive Director then, Nicholas Piri, also giving his thought as regards the issue of human rights. Now, remember that you can give us your thoughts on all these issues that we are looking at on this particular program, and a number will be given to you that you will be calling us on when that particular segment comes up. Now, also remember that you can go to our Facebook page. We are live on Facebook. You can go to our Facebook page and leave your comment as regards what we are looking at, some of the issues that we have discussed on this particular program. You can go to our Facebook page, like that particular page, go to the comment section of this particular broadcast and leave your comments there, and we will be more than happy to see what you think about what we are looking at this particular morning. Now, let's quickly look at some of the stories that are making headlines in the world of sports. Now, Power Dynamos striker Andy Boyeli and midfielder Joshua Mutale have made the shortlist for the MTN Super League Player of the Year after helping the Kitwe side to their first title in 12 years. Boyeli finished as a season's league top goal scorer with 18 goals, 7 for Chambeshi and 11 for Power Dynamos, while Mutale was also key in Dynamo's success. FC Muza striker Andrew Pili, who was second to Boyeli on 13 goals, completes the three-man shortlist. Now, Pili and Mutale have also made the young Player of the Year shortlist with FC Muza midfielder Gift Simanansa. Now, Muza qualified to the Continental Football for the first time after finishing the league behind Power Dynamos. Muza FC coach Lamek Banda, the Power Dynamos Mwenyach Pepo, and Green Buffaloes counterpart Masao Tembo are in the running for the Coach of the Year award. Red Arrows striker James Chamanga has been nominated for the Most Disciplined Footballer of the Year for the second season running after winning the award in 2022. His captain Benedict Tepeshi and Frederick Mulambia from Power Dynamos complete the list. Gloria Sambumba, Hilary Hambaba and Audrey Kinkole have been shortlisted for the best referee, while the best assistant referee nominees are Mek Zulu, Diana Chikotesha and Triwell Nyirenda. The MTN Awards Gala will be held this Friday, the 9th of June 2023 at Garden Court in Kitwe. So we await to see who grabs the day, especially as regards the player of the season, which sees Andy Boyeli, Joshua Mutale and Andrew Pili in the running for that particular award. It will be also interesting to see who will be the young footballer of the year, where Andrew Pili, Joshua Mutale and Gift Simanansa of Muza also in the running for that particular award. For the Coach of the Year, we have Desuze Masao Tembo, and also we do have Mwenyach Pepo and Lamek Banda. Lamek Banda, of course, of Muza FC, Mwenyach Pepo, Power Dynamos, and Masao Tembo of Green Buffaloes Football Club. We'll have to see who grabs that particular accolade. Whilst for player, the most disciplined player, we have Benedict Tapeshi, the Red Arrows captain, and of course the Red Arrows striker James Chamanga, who won it last season, and also we do have Mulambia from Frederick Mulambia from Power Dynamos in the running for that particular award. So those are some of the awards to look out for from the oncoming award ceremony that will be held in Kitwe on Friday, as we await to see who grabs those particular awards. We now take a short break before we get into the next segment, which will allow you, the viewers, to give us your thoughts on what we are looking at.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Lunchtime Cafe, and you are now on a segment that we get interactive. That is a segment that allows you to call us and give us your thoughts on whatever topic we have been looking at this particular day. Quite a number of stories that we've looked at. And I've been joined by my colleague, Patrick Soko, just to help go through some of the stories that we have looked at, and also help in receiving your calls as you get to call us and give us your thoughts on what we have been looking at. What is your thought as a viewer? What do you think about the stories that we are running this particular day? Patrick, it's a beautiful afternoon. Welcome.
Interesting. Thank you for welcoming me. It is interesting. I was looking at some of the segments, and I looked at the one on forgotten stories. Quite interesting stories, and the viewers, I hope they did manage to watch for themselves and get acquainted with what used to happen in the past. Those are the stories we used to carry on a particular day here on Camnet TV, and that was on the 7th of June 2020. Interesting stories. Those are the stories that we are making the headlines now. You, our dear viewers, in case you have your perspective to say, now, there are other things we are looking at. Interesting enough. You know, what also now gets into my mind is that the three clips you played, for instance, one, you played for the president, HH was in opposition, he's in government, he's the president today. Now. Sure. And we played another story for Madame Laura Miti. She's now part of this government. She's a commissioner at the Human Rights Commission. We also played another one for Mr. Nicholas Piri, where he was talking about issues pertaining to civil rights and the issues of a crackdown of the opposition. During that time, the topical issue was about the shrinking civic space, Kozi. That was a topical issue. So now we look at those clips and we are reminding ourselves to say, this is what used to happen now. The beauty about this segment, I think you are able to relate our dear viewers to say, this is what people used to say. This is what their perspectives were. Do they still hold the same perspective? It is interesting enough. You can give us your opinion. You can give us your views. In fact, I think we just, it's interesting that the president was telling the now former president, that by then it was Mr. Edgar Lungu. He was saying to say, you are protecting foreigners at the expense of Zambians. And unfortunately enough, the current government is also being accused of the same things, and the PF is among those crying the loudest of saying you're not prioritizing Zambians. So we are seeing that these stories, most of the times, they are almost similar. They are the same. They just probably, it's just the circumstances that change. So that is the segment we call Forgotten Stories and Interesting Stories that we looked at there. They were in 2020, that was in 2020. Sure. Yeah, of June. interesting enough. We also looked at emerging stories there. Some of the stories people should look out for in the menus. We had stories pertaining to where the 2 ministers attending United Nations Habitat Conference in Nairobi, Kenya. Now, this is they are bringing out various issues pertaining to housing development, local government administration. These are Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Gary Nkombo, and these are counterpart the Minister of Infrastructure and Housing Development. Interesting enough, there they did give us, those are some of the stories that are emerging, and we continue to keep interacting on this program. So the phone lines are open in case you want to join the conversation and give us your perspective. You can do so right about now.
So the phone numbers are on your screens now. You can call us on those particular numbers and give us your thought on what we are looking at this morning into the afternoon. Just tell us your thought on those particular items. And also, you can go to our Facebook page and leave your comments on this particular broadcast. Just go to Camnet TV and then like that page. Go to the to this particular broadcast on that particular page and then leave your comments there. Now, we do have Helen Zimba who came through on our Facebook page and says she agrees bars do not follow correct time of operation and making it difficult for residents not having enough rest due to too much noise by their loud music. Please check out or a ministry responsible must resign and stop chewing our government money. Please regulate the bars. Now, this is in relation to a story where we did talk about a body that was discovered along Mungwi Road in Lusaka West, where the residents were saying they don't feel safe, and they brought out an issue of bars closing very late in that particular area, and they feel that the bars should be regulated. They should be closed at the correct time so that people get to go to their respective homes whilst it is still safe.
Yeah, the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Gary Nkombo, did issue directives to the local authorities to ensure that they regulate bars and bring sanity, especially in as far as this issue is concerned. But like our follower there is indicating there on our social media platform, the issue of implementation is what is vital at the end of the day. So it's like the concern revolves around the implementation aspect. How are we implementing the various regulations that are in place? Because, for instance, you woke up in the morning, a bar is playing loud music as early as 05. Now you can imagine, and these bars are in communities, in the middle of the community. Yeah, so they tend to inconvenience others. It is a noise pollution, but of course it also promotes lawlessness, and because people most of the time spend time drinking, and that impairs their judgment, and they engage in illicit activities. If you talk about, for example, accidents in the country, you discover that most of them are largely due to the issue of opening bars early, as well as abusing alcohol. Alcohol is a catalyst to this. But do we take proactive measures to combat this vice? The answer is definitely no, because if you are to go to any community this morning, right about now, even at a time after, I know the 7-day ultimatum, when is it elapsed? It should be elapsing soonest, but you discover that this tendency continues to be the order of the day in communities. I think there's more the local authorities need to do in terms of collaborating with our communities, so that people should feel part and parcel of the community and be able to engage them and inform them on the illegalities that are happening in various communities. So in case you are that person or that viewer who is affected by that issue, you too can get in touch with us and we get interacting on this program.
The issue of regulating bars has not started today.
No.
This is an issue that has been ongoing for quite some time now. I think that we should find a lasting solution to this particular problem. If, for example, we say bars should open. Remember during the COVID times, there were strict regulations that were put, and I think we should continue with those regulations that were put, where people, these activities were almost stopping. And I think that we should get to a point where you will not find any shop, any bar selling alcohol at per se this time 13 hours or 14 hours. The bar should open at 16 hours up to 18 hours, or 16 hours up to 22 hours, or stipulated times, and we must move like that.
Yeah, we have a caller.
We do have a caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Hello, anybody home? Okay, we seem not to be communicating with that particular caller, and we hope that you can call us again on the same numbers. The numbers are on your screens if you want to give us a call and tell us your thought as regards what we are discussing this particular afternoon. We have quite a number of stories that we are looking at, and you can pick one of those particular stories and give us your thought on those very stories. Patrick?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, like you were saying, Kozi, we need to get interacting. In fact, this is the segment for you, our dear viewers, where we get your views on various issues happening in the country, and we are going to also create a platform whereby you'll be able to send us those videos on our WhatsApp line, and you'll be able to get in touch with us and get interacting with us in the studio. You can just record a video of 2 minutes or less and send it via the number we're going to provide. Then you will be able to interact with us. We'll be playing your clips then so that we can get your perspectives from your various program. We want to get as much information as possible from what is happening in your various communities. And you can, when talking about viewers' reaction, on viewers' reaction, you can equally react to some of the stories that are emerging in terms of stories that are making the headlines, because we'll be giving you the stories as they are happening. We give you the highlights of what you should expect and what you should watch in the main news at 19:30 as well. But the 12 hours news also gives you latest news and information, so you need to just make sure that you stay glued to Camnet TV, because we are making sure that we give you nothing but information as well as education here on this lunchtime cafe, so where we get to continue interacting with you, and that's what we are focusing on. So we did miss that call, but you can still call back. We seemed to have a connection problem, but I hope it has been fixed now. We can get interacting in case you want to engage with us.
So the numbers are on your screens if you want to call us and give us a thought on what we are looking at on this particular program. Now, one interesting thing is the oncoming gala, awards gala, MTN awards gala. We do have a caller though before we get into that one. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay, you can continue trying to get in
you
touch
can
with
continue trying. So we'll just take a short break, then we'll be back and continue to get your reactions as our dear viewers.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the Weekly Gospel Show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel
go open doors.
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power back to war.
Hallelujah.
And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
You are still on the Lunchtime Cafe on Camnet TV, and we are on the segment that we call the viewers' reactions. We get reactions from you, our viewers, on some of the stories that we are looking at this particular day, and we have quite a number of them. We have stories that we have picked from 2020. We call that segment the Forgotten Stories segment. We also have stories that are emerging, stories that are happening right now in some parts of the country, and of course outside, like we have seen today. It is in Nairobi, and those are some of the stories that we expect to get your feedback on. Remember that you can call us on the number that is on your screens. Patrick.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, before we break out, we had a problem with our connection. In terms of our line, that has been fixed, and we can get interacting with you, our dear viewers, on the program, which is the Lunchtime Cafe. This show will be coming to you every day at the same time, and see you in terms of the weekdays, and where we continue to give you nothing but information and education on this segment, the Lunchtime Cafe. Now, we looked at some of the stories that were happening, like we backdated to the year 2020. This is 2022. So if you look at some of the things that were happening in 2020, they are almost the same things that are happening now. So let's get to pick our caller now.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, gentlemen?
Very well. Your name and where you are calling us from?
This is Geoffrey calling from Kitwe.
Mr. Geoffrey, please go ahead, pick a story and give us your thought.
Yes, about the regulating of beer. This is a bit tricky, especially that today we don't have much jobs. So those people who own bars, that's where they find a livelihood. That's where they get something. Now if we reduce the hours, the working hours for these people, then you definitely throw people in there, will trash them. They will have nothing to lay hands on. Yeah? Let the government give them something to lay their hands on. Then can we now focus on reducing the hours for their businesses? Currently, there are no jobs. Yeah? We were thinking the dollar will start soon so that people can have something. It's a white elephant up to now. Nothing is happening there. The mining sector is something else. Me, I'm based from Kitwe. So I know what is happening. Mobile KCM, there is nothing. So now, a lot of miners, ex-miners, the alternative is doing the selling of alcohol. Now, if we do away with them, what are we making them of? So, yes, the issue of noise is quite bad. Even ourselves, we see it. Can the council come in? Let them advise them the right time to start their music. And like at 5 hours, somebody starts running or playing music when people are sleeping. Then secondly, you see, in Zambia, we have watchmen, we have miners. So these people, they work different shifts. Now, if one wants to quench themselves, they must look at the time which search them. So if somebody is doing night shift and wants to quench himself before the time he goes for work, the morning time is best suit for them to drink beer. They can drink, then have some time to rest before they can go back for work. And those that are knocking off in the day shift, they should find at least time for their own time as well. So the grading of beer is quite critical. I'm following your thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. We really do appreciate your call. You can also call us on the number that is on your screens. If you want to give us a thought on what we are discussing, the numbers are right down your TV sets. You can call us. Now remember that when you call, you reduce the volume on your TV set so that we do not have any problems as regards communicating with you. I think that the previous caller has valid points. He sounds very genuine with some of the points that he has brought out. But look, firstly, I want to agree with him. The fact that you can't start closing bars for people, that's where they get their milk and bread and butter from. So we need to give them enough time to operate, and he has said he stays in Kitwe, where people work in shifts. So you knock off at 06. You want to go and quench your thirst.
Yeah, your thirst. At night.
You go to one of these bars. But look, let's look at the bigger picture, I think.
Yeah, the bigger picture. Interesting enough. Yeah, the bigger picture. Yeah, you are right. Yeah, so like any discourse, there are advantages and disadvantages.
Sure.
And in any government policies, there are winners and casualties. So like in this case, you are a bar owner. You won't be happy with such a pronouncement. You understand, eh? But if you are, for example, you are not and you are concerned about what is happening to society, you also be concerned.
He brought a very interesting point when he said, at least you can tell them to start playing their music a little later, but they can open their bars and start selling their beer without making noise.
Yeah,
so that they don't disturb the neighbors.
Yes, those are quite pertinent issues. If you look at, we need to digest this issue. We are also talking about running a 24 hours economy. It means that even bars have to operate 24 hours. But at the end of the day, we have to strike a balance on the productive hours as well as working on our how productive are we as a country. Are you getting the point? We have to know how productive are we as a country, because sometimes someone may be spending time drinking alcohol from morning to sunset. Is there productivity in that? But we talk about consuming alcohol with normalcy, you understand? But others would spend more time, for example, drinking cachasu, and cachasu, what it can do to you. It can do to you. So, but that has become common. But see, there are certain alcohol that have regulated alcohol content. But in these communities, you find that your neighbor is the one selling cachasu. So even your children are coming out from your house, going to the neighbor's house to just get a pint. Those things, if we're not dealing with them, they become a problem.
Yeah, I think the issues that should be looked into. Remember last week, is it 2 weeks ago, local government was busy confiscating beer from people that were selling alcohol in places that are not supposed to be. So, first thing, a bar, let's define where a bar should be.
Yes,
A bar
I think
should
that
not
is
be.
important.
Yeah, should not be next to a school or next to a church or next. We do have another caller as we move. Good afternoon. Thank you. Your name and where you are calling us from?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on can you find out for us from the mayor of Lusaka what programs or measures they have?
We needed to get the other part of the question, but it was heading somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but do find time to call us back. We want to get your views.
Kindly call us back on the same number and ask that particular question, so that we ask
on your behalf,
the authorities that be on your behalf. And on behalf of everybody else that is watching, of course, we know that people are interested in knowing how best this particular issue should be sorted out. Now, we were talking about the issue of where bars should be placed. And I think this is a personal issue. What time do you want to start drinking alcohol? And for how long in one day are you going to be drinking? Are you going to go to the bar at 06 hours and leave at 18 hours? Because you are not working on that particular day.
Yeah.
So it also comes back to us. For how long do you want to spend drinking?
So if we start defining those issues, I think we can start heading somewhere. Because sometimes you find that people say they have closed here. They are drinking. you know those times for COVID-19. Because you are afraid of Boman Lusambo's whips, you do eventually. You would opt to stay. You understand those?
So the door is closed. We are not selling here. The door is closed, but the window is open.
Okay.
They are selling from the window.
Then again, there's another aspect. There are countries that where if you buy alcohol, you cannot be drinking
in public.
In public, like walking, you are drinking alcohol. No,
sure.
When you buy alcohol, you have to sit down.
Sit somewhere.
You consume it.
Consume it.
So, but you'd find that here it's fashionable. Share this big bottle.
Oh yeah,
you understand?
it has become fashionable.
So people have those things. So when you look at those things, there are things we need to pay attention to.
We do have another caller. Hello, good afternoon. Your name and where you're calling us from? Hello.
This network broke down.
We can hear you now.
We can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead with your contribution or question.
Okay, yes. I'm Kampamba Joseph from Magapoka.
Mr. Kampamba, you are welcome. Please go ahead.
Sorry?
You are welcome. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm checking on the fundamental human rights that the citizens, us the citizens, we have in this country. I've heard about Ramiti from that footage that you gave us, and is that Nixon?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, what I have learned so far is that democracy is democracy. When the people speak, these leaders that we usher into various positions, they must understand exactly why they were voted into those offices for.
Sure.
Because I know that democracy, just the definition, there are two words there. There is the term which means people, kratos, which means rule or power. It means as citizens we have the power to usher in or to remove that person who has been voted into. So from where we are today, we can easily see what happened for failing to understand, for failing to deliver according to the wishes of people. Where are they today? When we talk of the previous regime, they are out of power because of failing to understand exactly what us, the citizens, were crying for. It can happen even to this government. If they choose to not to understand, or if they choose not to listen to us as the citizens, the same thing happened, it will repeat itself again. So my appeal to all those who are being voted into various positions, they need to go down to the people and listen to what they are saying. Otherwise, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. We really do appreciate your contribution. And you can also call us on that same number that is on your screens if you want to give us a contribution as regards the topics that we are looking at this particular afternoon. There's a very interesting contribution on our social media page, which is Camnet TV. And it says drinking places are economical activities that contribute a lot to the economy. Now, tightening the opening hours will result in loss of income to several players and ultimately increase an increase in criminal activities. So this
interesting views there.
Yeah. This particular one comes from a viewer calling himself UPND UK chapter. So this is what we're talking about. And this is my thought.
Look, balance. It's quite tricky.
Look, much as we appreciate that this is a serious economic activity, let's also look at what alcohol does to society. Yeah, and now this issue has come up because there was a criminal activity that occurred in a certain area, and people are thinking it is because of the late closure of bars that people are being found in such situations.
And the danger is that it is the criminal elements that may be in that story.
Sure.
In that, for example, instead of a bar closing at let's say 22 hours or 20 hours, 21 hours, you'd find that they will run up to 24 hours or 23 hours. But they are overriding their license requirements. So those are some of the challenges that may actually emerge. So we are still on the viewers' reactions, and we just recall some of the stories. We will recall the same story where, before we record the story, let's get this call.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello,
good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Okay. Sounds like one of the kids playing with the phone.
Interesting. If we look, so the numbers are on your screen, your screens there. In case you want to join the conversation, you can reach us on the 0973 167840, as well as reach us on 0968 675273, as well as 0962 444728. Those are the numbers you can come through to the Camnet lunchtime cafe in case you want to give us your views and contribution to the program. We will recall one of the story that we played that most of our viewers are reacting to. So we are getting their reactions, and this story is the one where we saw a murder case there and people are saying it's because of a lot of bars that we have in the area and the like. So let's pick this call.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Kindly reduce the volume on your TV set.
Hello.
Reduce the volume on your TV set.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Your name and where you are calling us from? Lucy or Brucey? Kindly reduce the volume on your TV set.
Lucy seems to be very
So remember that when you call us, you reduce the volume on the TV set so that we do not have any problems as regards communicating between your end and us. If your TV set is on, we do tend to get a feedback which makes it difficult for us to communicate. Now, before we picked that particular call, we were discussing the issue of bars and the time of closure of these particular places. And Patrick was talking about giving us the story that people are reacting to. Now, this is the story that has brought this debate.
We are full participants from the Republic of Zambia, and I'm leading the delegation. That includes the Minister of Infrastructure and Housing and Urban Development. At this summit or assembly, we have been joined by many world leaders who are dealing with the theme Sustainable Urban Future through Inclusive and Effective Multilateralism, Achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in Times of Global Crisis. The theme, as a matter of fact, does resonate with the endeavors of Zambia to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, especially goal number 11, which is aimed at making cities and human settlements not only inclusive but safe, as well as sustainable. We have given a report to the summit. We have given a report and given a status of the milestones that Zambia has set for itself, as well as achievements towards making cities and human settlements safe and inclusive. And some of the things that we shared here is the mainstreaming of the new urban agenda and the Sustainable Development Goal number 8, which we have achieved as a country at 80% and also embedded in the 8th National Development Plan. We have also given a report on the development of the policy whose vision is prosperous, inclusive and resilient urban settlements. In terms of what we expect the global community to do for us is that we have to get support in developing clear strategies of fostering global and regional synergies and addressing the urban challenges, the ever-growing urban drift and unplanned settlements. We are also envisaging that we are going to ensure that adequate and predictable financing for developing countries to make impactful contributions towards addressing the urbanization challenge. We also seek to support with the appropriate technologies and capacities to transform the settlements into engines of growth that will engender the sustainable development of our country. And finally, last not the least, to develop clear measures to spur innovative solutions for rural development, as well as challenges to reinforce rural areas as a major source of food security.
Sustainable Development Goal number 16 aspires to be a safe and peaceful society by 2030, but security at community level continues to be a challenge. This is an area in Lusaka West along Mungu Road where residents have expressed concern on the security around the neighborhood after the body of a man who they suspect to have been murdered was found in these bushes. What has concerned them is that the body had remained uncollected for over 24 hours after the matter was reported at Bob Brooms Police Post due to alleged lack of transport.
It was discovered that he had one thigh, the leg went up to one thigh, and then the other one is missing a foot. There's only a bone. And then also one hand has no skin. Seems like it was unskinned. We don't show. We want more patrols. In fact, even Namabas, they are operating up to awkward hours. So police should come in and make sure that they close. There are a lot of people that are going. So we are not too sure if this man belongs to Lusaka West or if he came from somewhere else.
I saw a backpack. It's black in color. And then there's a black bomber jacket. It's also black. Then there's a cape and shoes. So this is how I went there. We were in a company of some other 4 men. We went there. I hear that the police said the owner of the farm should bury that same decomposed body. Now how can he bury without information from the police? This is the question we are all asking. Yes, we need security because if such things, people report such things, we need them to act urgently as policemen in the community.
CalNet News also contacted police spokesperson Ray Hamonga over the incident.
Matrix Station received a report of sudden and natural death through our Bob Brooms police post. This was a report that was received through Bob Brooms police post, in which male Kachiza Manyondi, age 63, of farm number 117A Mungu Road, who reported that in his farm there was a dead body of an identified male person aged between 25 and 30 years. The same was found in a decomposed state and the legs were eaten by animals. This is believed to have occurred at a known date and yesterday, 5th June 2023, at a known time. Police visited the scene and the body has since been buried today.
The community members have emphasized on police patrols to ensure security in the community and prevent similar incidents from recurring. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
So those are some of the stories that we are looking at today. The first one is an emerging story. That is a story that we expect to have the details in our 19 hours main news today, 1930 main news today. And the other one is a story that most people are reacting to, which talks about a dead body that was discovered in Lusaka West along Mungi Road, where the residents are now saying they need security, and it is because of bars operating during awkward hours. That is why they are having such cases. Patrick.
Yeah, quite an interesting story there, and we have gotten quite a number of reactions from our dear viewers giving us their reactions to this story. But we are also looking at emerging stories. In case you want to give us your perspective on that, you can equally alert us on what is happening in your neighborhood, in your compound, in your communities, on the viewers' reaction segment. Every time that will be coming to you on Camnet television. This is quite an important segment where you too, our dear viewers, using the various platforms such as our social media platforms on Facebook, on our Facebook page, you are able to get in touch with us and interact with us, and then we'll get to read your messages here on the Lunchtime Cafe. And you can do so as well as by leaving us a text message on the numbers that are on your screens on the MTN as well as Airtel lines. We have here for Camnet TV. You can also alert us via WhatsApp to give us those views. You can equally film yourself, send those videos as well as voice notes. You send them. We'll be playing them on the program to get your reactions on various issues happening across the country. So this segment is for you, our dear viewers. You can react to everything and everything that is within your locality or beyond in terms of national matters. You can give us those perspectives. Interesting enough, we had also, okay, let's pick this call before I give my perspective.
Hello, good afternoon. Your name and where you're calling us from? Come again?
I'm saying that my name is Mwanza.
Please.
From within Lusaka.
Please go ahead, Mr. Mwanza.
Hello?
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I don't want to go on the program. You know, that's all I can the guy who got from Copper Road.
Yes.
You know, it's a something that we expect. You know, the expectation is very high when you got the HH, but you know, we come from the Copper Road business. The backbone of the passenger is copper. We cannot say much about the agriculture because mining at that now. You know, if the copper belt they can complain that they failed to bring the investor so that they can, you know, they can launch the mine and the KSPM. That's news because now we find that people now they will looking to another alternative alcohol, because you find that, it's a good business. Everyone, want to drink, and now somebody wants to say that in which time now we need to talk alcohol, because we need to be active again. We need to work, because if you open in the first around 6 hours, you have people that you don't need to work. If you go to Tanzania, in Tanzania they open the bus on 14 hours. And if you go to Tanzania, brothers are going to agree with me that people seriously work. And you find that even in Lusaka, find 6 hours is women their sons. How are we going to do the some small businesses? I want to work so as they can talk to tomatoes. The woman and the sister is drunk, which means that the bus they are open around 5 to 6 hours. They have started selling the alcohol. So we have partners that if you are married and you are running the home. You need to make a decision as a bus. So we need a president to say that if the bus is supposed to open for 1 man for 2 hours. Don't look at whose money you are going to do for that. Yeah, the people have started working. We are going to find something else. From 14 hours up to 21 hours, it's a lot of, people that can do business. So thank you very much for my contributions.
Thank you very much. We really do appreciate your contribution, and we value your contribution. I think that has been my thought.
Yeah,
it is important, much as we understand that this is a critical player in the economy. We should also look at the effects. Yes. Why would somebody be getting drunk at 07 hours, for example?
Yeah.
So we need to give people time to be a little bit productive. Though we were challenged that some people are working in shifts, so they knock off at 07 hours. So they are not working. They will go back for work in the afternoon.
For me, I would argue. In some places we just used also to lawlessness. I'll give you an example of public smoking. Do you know that it is prohibited to smoke in public?
Sure.
But every time we find people smoking everywhere, and comparing people who do not smoke to smoke by force, you know that secondary smoking is also dangerous to our health.
Sure.
You can imagine now. So, but you'd find that how are we enforcing these laws? Because like our previous caller is suggesting, for instance, at 14 hours, like in other countries, 14 hours, you would have worked from morning
up to 14
to do some pieceworks, and you'll be able to. If you are drinking, you are not going to waste you finish your entire money. You drink a little and invest your money or spend your money wisely somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, we have also heard of people who have failed to do the right things with their hard-earned money. So you discover that you have worked, but the entire money finishes while drinking junta. Now, how are you helping yourself there? You just want to be a catalyst of economic productivity, but yourself you become useless to the economy. Because at the end of the day, as if you are drunk, you can't perform to your best. And it's not like everyone else who knows how to drink alcohol to say I can only drink enough. But others drink to die.
As long as the bottle is still there, they'll continue drinking it.
You see. That's the idea. So now, but how do we also create awareness on responsible alcohol consumption? We saw these campaigns.
Just a minute. I love the aspect that you're bringing in, but what do you consider? What are we going to consider as responsible alcohol intake?
For me, for example, responsible alcohol intake is that no one should be taking alcohol during work days. You can imagine, because you are drunk and you and I are doing the program, are we going to be coordinating? You can imagine.
So what can these look? Working hours differ.
Yes.
Because as we are working, there are others that are waiting to come and join us at 15 hours.
So now.
So what time do we have for those that are coming in the afternoon when they are opening bars to also have?
You want to confuse me?
Yeah. So it's an issue where it is complex, but it is a contributor, as most of us have noticed, to the economy, but it has its own effects.
Yes, it is contributing, but even yourself, because if you continue drinking, the end result is that your health will deteriorate.
Yes.
If you're going to be drinking kachasu every day, from morning to sunset, morning to sunset, morning to sunset, it means that you won't be as useful to the economy. You'll be a burden because the government will be spending more on your health. When you go there, you'll be the people complaining about it. There is no medicine. And you will be on Madame Masebo. So those are things we need to be looking at the end of the day. These are things to say, if you, for example, what are the overall effects of this? Alcohol is a drug. Are you aware of that?
Sure.
It is a drug. So, but how do you manage this drug? You have to drink it in moderation. You don't have to drink it as if you are dying today. But people, they like, it's a career, like when you go there. It has also contributed to these issues where we call junkies. Every little coin they find, if they harass someone, they get a few coins here and there, they'll go and spend it on alcohol and drugs. Do they spend it wisely? No. They spend it on alcohol because it becomes a catalyst for them to do those activities. So now, are we helping any situation? If you look at every community now, because we have a bar in every next household, have we helped the community in terms of making sure there is sanity? Those are the pertinent questions we need to be asking ourselves. Because for me, if you look, it is contributing to these issues of junkies. Because others who are also selling alcohol, they don't consider the age limit. Others do consider to say no, young man, you cannot get buy alcohol. You are below 18 years. But nowadays you'd find that everyone is allowed, so they can be getting alcohol whether you are 16 years, 5 years, or 10 years. 14 years they are getting alcohol. And if you check the people they have been arresting as junkies, the age range even start as young as 13. From 13 years to somebody who is 35, as among those who have been arrested, especially on these raids which the Zambia police is undertaking. So it tells you that the extent of the problem that we have as a country.
Now, the issue of selling alcohol in households, kachasu, does this also contribute to the economy? I ask that question because you will find that in these communities, a woman that has been selling, there was an outcry, remember, in Mandevu when kachasu was poured and those children were made to drink kachasu. This woman has been brewing kachasu 15 years. There's not much difference.
Without paying taxes?
Yes. And there's not much difference, even just the household well-being of that particular family. They sometimes they claim but really nothing changes. 15 years you're doing the same business and you don't upgrade, and there's nothing to show for it.
Yeah, and we have also seen others now making they opening up industries in communities to brew these, and they even brand it.
Sure.
And most of them, we had a story from the Rwandan community where it was discovered that some of the Rwandese were involved in that illegality. We have a caller.
We do have another caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, afternoon. This is Chirwa Mr. calling from home.
Mr. Chirwa, please go ahead and give us your thoughts.
Yes, I would just like to contribute on this time limit bars who are selling beer from bar to beer from 08 o'clock or from 01 o'clock or any time the way they feel. But there's law already there to protect most people. Time of opening the bar, 10 hours, the night clubs, they have there, according to the law again, they follow their hours. So now, we have a problem of where people, they come into government, they want to change things on the bars especially, because they don't look into the wholesalers, those who give wholesale, like wholesale breweries, those brewers. They ordering, giving beer to their orders beer from them, he wants to be given a time of 1 hour or 2 hours to sell beer. So who do you support? The brewers or the retailers? So we don't know where we are going to. The only way, look, the way if the government wants to support again Mashabini, it should limit that time of selling beer. Look what the COVID. The COVID issue brought a lot of Mashabini into the whole country. And the government didn't support to do that. They were only concentrating in the bar. So they should look into it carefully on that. Because if they are just looking into the bar, they need looking into Mashabini. Then they're in trouble. And all the presidents, the first president, seventh president, the bars are already there. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you very much for your call. We really do appreciate your contribution. You can also call us on the number that is on your screen if you want to give us a contribution on the topics that we are looking at this particular day. Patrick.
Yeah, quite interesting views that he brought out there, and it skipped my mind. And you know, during the COVID-19, there are some what we call post-COVID-19 effects. The mushrooming of shabings is one of the post-COVID-19 effects, and it does bring out quite a good analysis there. It tells you that people have been following and they're keen and understand the economic governance of this country very, very well. So now, what were we doing as a country when we were seeing the mushrooming of shabings? We were focusing on those bars which are can be easily be regulated, because bars can easily comply because it's easy to visit them, because usually they are along the roads. It's easy to make them comply, and usually they may comply. But what happens when you go into the deep of the community, in the middle of the community? What happens there? You understand? So at the end of the day, if your point, we get to the point where we get to know that we are a subject of poor planning. Poor planning in that, for example, and in the middle of the community, there is a church. Then next to the church, there is a bar.
Then
next to the church, there is a school. Next to the school, there is your house now. So now you can imagine. Because even sometimes those who congregate with their noise, sometimes it may be noise because others may be sleeping. Because it's in the middle of the community. You understand? And people are not probably programmed that you will be having these weekday sessions, and you are disturbing them. So all those things are things we should be looking at. So now, in terms of the town and country planning, we should always take into consideration there's an aspect where the churches are supposed to be in each and every ward, an area where bars need to be, and an area where people need to reside. You can't be mixing everything. How do you raise up children? Children who are growing up knowing that it is normal to be carrying a cigarette along the road. You are going to be raising children who are going to think alcohol is just like water. So all those things. But if you keep them at a distance at designated places, people go and do the right things at the right place. Because people will know, say, if I need to go to church, it is this way. If I need to go to have a cold one, it is this other direction. Now, if I need to go home, it is this other direction. Now everything is changanya. It is changanya. And so, like our previous caller was saying, now we had some shabings, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, they increased. And to make it the matter worse is that even shops are owned by most of the Rwandese, where they put cold drinks like Coca-Cola and everything. You're now finding Mosi there. They are also selling there. You find that people buy, then they sit in just by the shop. All that is illegal, because that person is not licensed to be selling alcohol beverages, but rather soft drinks. Now you'd find that they are mixing everything. Now these are shops where children go to buy sweets now. So you now tend to make children start buying cigarettes as opposed to sweets, because they can cost the same price. Say, okay, if as opposed to buying a sweet, I buy a cigarette, because they are costing the same price. So those are things that need regulation. So if you look, we have the national alcohol policy in Zambia. To what extent has this policy been implemented? These are questions we are not answering. we need to be answering these questions as a country to say, when we came up with a national alcohol policy, what did we want to achieve? Have we achieved that? But if you see the policy, progressive as it may be, it has been in the shelves. Implementation, zero. Like our previous caller said, these laws are there. Bars are supposed to open around 10 hours. But in the morning, when we are coming, we find bars opened as early as 6 hours, 05 hours. So those are things that, if now, for example, there's monitoring and compliance, those things may not be happening. But if you let them loose, people always find a loophole and say, okay, let me go and do all sort of things to say, because there's no one who's watching me. This is where you find that, for example, I was looking at that story for Kamwana, where the area member of the area councillor was saying to say, today you find there's no structure. You are passing in the morning, you find like they have beautified the place, like they have removed the grass and everything. You are coming in the morning, you find that there is a complete structure and everything is done and someone is selling. So they will go and work in the evening. They are working while we are sleeping, they are working. By the time you are waking up, you find the structure is there. Now removing that structure becomes a problem. And that illegality continues to be perpetuated. And it starts becoming normal. Then the council comes as an afterthought to say, who authorized you in here? When it has to be the other way around. So those are serious issues we need to be looking at and focusing on.
So this is the Lunchtime Cafe on Camnet TV, and we are live on our Facebook page. If you do want to give us your contributions, you can go to that particular page, like it, and go to the comment section and leave your comments there. We'll be more than happy to see what you think about what we are discussing this morning. On the other hand,
this afternoon,
you can pick up your phone and call the numbers that are on your screens, and we will be more than happy and glad to receive your calls and get to understand what you are thinking about what you're looking at this particular morning. There are various other stories that we've been looking at this morning, apart from the issue of security, peace and alcohol and safety of the citizens, especially in Lusaka West.
So let's look at forgotten stories. Some of the forgotten stories there we look at. Let's zoom in one particular interesting story where one former president, one current president rather now, Hakainde Hichilema, was actually criticizing his predecessor for failing to safeguard the people's rights, and those are the rights of citizens. This is a story that was topical in 2020. Now we are going back. This is the 7th of June. So now we are taking you back to what happened in June 2020. So let's look at this story. There's another story where also Madam Lola Meach is also expressing the same concerns on human rights, and the Zitukure Consortium was also expressing the same concerns. So these are interesting views that still matter, and which we continue to see that opposition political parties and governance actors continue to talk about, even up to now. Let's get to look at that.
These rights, in the case of Zambia and many other countries, are constitutional as well. Birthrights, but also constitutional. I think it's important to indicate that these rights are also universal. It means no individual, it means no government, even insane governments, can take these rights away from citizens of this country. I am saying that, we are saying that, Zambians want to enjoy their rights, fundamental rights. They want to enjoy their fundamental liberties, and freedoms. No one, and I mean no one, I repeat, should take these freedoms away from the citizens of Zambia. PF is protecting foreigners. I've never seen a government protecting foreigners at the expense of its own citizens. Yes, every citizen of the world must be protected, but your primary responsibility is to look after your children, to look after your family members. In this case, the people of Zambia, the youth of Zambia, the musicians of Zambia, and other citizens. This is shameless. Few PF thugs who are terrorizing people are not in their well-being. I want to say to the people of Zambia, to the youth in particular, to the musicians, I want to encourage you to speak out. Continue speaking out on social media. Continue speaking out on other media platforms, because you are within the law. You are within the Constitution. You are within the universal rights, liberties, and freedoms. You are within the remit of the law. Continue speaking. If you are silenced, you agree to be silenced, it means you are endorsing brutality. You are endorsing dictatorship. You are endorsing a regime that has denied you basic necessities, food, jobs, education. If you choose to be silent, you will be directly, not indirectly, endorsing and agreeing with what this brutal regime is doing to the people of Zambia.
Expression and the freedom of assembly are not granted to citizens by governments or whichever administration is in place. Our freedom to express ourselves, our right to assemble, is a fundamental right that is in the Constitution and that we are born with. So I think the problem we are sitting with the Edgar Lungu administration is that they actually do imagine that they own citizens and that the citizens should enjoy their rights at their pleasure. When they say yes, it happens. When they say no, it doesn't. I think they need to understand that this is where the fundamental problem is. It is that you have a whole government that does not seem to understand the Constitution, constitutionalism, or the rights of citizens. And then going just a little bit further from that, the young people that are raising a question about how public money is spent, why they are so poor in a country that is well-resourced, why those in power are so rich in a country in which the citizens are so impoverished, are not insulting anybody. They are asking questions that people have been asking for a long time. There are questions that we in the Yellow Card movement raised. The problem is government refuses to answer these questions, instead bullies citizens. So the president had a very good chance now to rise above the fray. He had a very good chance to say to Minister Lusambo, this is not the way to go. It's really astounding that he chose to dive deep into this fight with young people that Minister Lusambo had ill-advisedly started. So what I would say to the minister, what I would say to the Minister Lusambo, what I would say to the president is that you need to take a step back and understand that this is a fight you cannot win because you're fighting against the fundamental rights of citizens. And young people have decided they can't be this poor anymore. They cannot suffer to this extent, or that governance cannot be allowed to keep going backwards. And that is all the young people are saying.
And so we think that the path that President Lungu has taken to come out like he's intimidating the youth, to come out like he's threatening the Zambian people to express their displeasure and discontent in the manner he's managing national affairs, we think that sets him up for a very difficult uphill battle in 2021 in terms of retaining his presidency. Unless he's saying that he is done with contesting power. But even if the president is done, we need to remind the president that he still has life beyond the presidency, and that is what is known as his legacy. Honestly, does he want to be remembered as one who never allowed anybody to voice out? The PF has done quite a number of good things. So if people are complaining, the best response we expect from the presidency is to simply point to the things that they have done, explain what they have not done and why they have not done them. We think that is a much better way of handling things.
So those are the forgotten stories that we're looking at today, stories that happened in the year 2020, and we just looking back at them today, and we are also looking at various other stories that were making the headlines today. And one of the biggest story has been that of security in Mungwi Road, Lusaka West, where a dead body was discovered yesterday. Patrick.
Yeah, quite interesting stories there that happened in 2020 and on the 7th of June. And we're looking at them today. It's quite a while, and we are also reminding those our sources to say these are things you said, and do they still matter if you are going to listen to them today? For me, if you ask me, those issues pertaining to rights are still valid, because those are crucial points that they were bringing out there, and you can testify that it was an issue, especially pertaining to the shrinking civic space. Quite a number of non-governmental organizations were raising concerns to say they were being impeded in terms of them doing their work diligently, and they were being affected because they could not converge. And as the police then used to use the Public Order Act to disadvantage the opposition political parties, as well as the non-state actors who were critical in terms of speaking against ills in society and criticizing or providing checks and balances to the then Patriotic Front administration, the PF. So now the president talking about rights, is he consistent at the moment? You can also leave us those messages. But I know that he has been talking about those things time and again in terms of upholding human rights. But in that same clip, he did point out that his predecessor was actually prioritizing foreigners at the expense of the locals. And, the current administration is equally facing similar allegations from its critics, who are saying to say, where is the Zambianization concept? Why are you not maximizing the participation of Zambians in the mining sector and other sectors? Can't we run our own affairs? Those concerns have always been coming from opposition political parties. And that's the segment we call Forgotten Stories. And this segment will be coming every other time on Camnet TV, every time we are having the Lunchtime Cafe. So you can tell your friends, you can tell your neighbor and your other neighbor that the Lunchtime Cafe will be coming from 11:45 to 14 hours, where we give you nothing but information and education pertaining to how various matters that are happening in the country. So this is a real deal in terms of us getting to interact with you, our dear viewers. So let me just run you through. You can run us through the segments.
Some of the segments that you are going to be enjoying on this particular program, we will be giving you what we call emerging stories. So now that's a segment that will be giving you information or snippets of what you expect in our news at 19. We are going to be sending our reporters to be giving us what they are working on to show how the story is developing. So it's about the developing stories of that particular day. We also are going to be giving you what we call the Nutrition Corner, where we are going to be having nutritionists to come and help us understand how best we can have our meals, or what is the best to eat at 12, what is the best to eat at 14, what is the best to eat at 18, as you await for your main meal, and what is it that you should eat also in your main meals. Also, we are going to be giving you, our viewers, an opportunity to react to some of the stories that we are looking at, or anything, or you can give us what is developing in your communities as well. That is a segment that will also be coming here, and we're also going to be giving you some sports update on this particular segment, on this particular program. It's another segment that will be coming on this particular program.
Quite a number of interesting segments there, and our viewers can equally participate by engaging us on the numbers.
So remember that this is a very, very interactive program. That is why we are giving you those numbers for you to be calling us, or alternatively you can go to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and then you give us your thoughts on the comment section of this particular broadcast, and we will be more than happy to have a look at what you are thinking about as regards what we are looking at. And also we are going to be giving you a number, a WhatsApp number, where you can send your videos, a 1-minute video telling us your thoughts on what we are discussing this particular morning. Patrick, we should be coming to the end of the program.
Particular afternoon. Interesting. So now we are coming to the end of the program, but we cannot go without giving our thanks to those who managed to call the program. We really value your contribution and support to the program, and we hope that you will continue to follow us and continue to watch the program. This is a program that has come to stay here on Camnet TV. Just make sure that you get to inform others to catch us every time in the afternoon, so that we have quite a number of segments that are interactive, as my colleague earlier stated. So this is where we have to say bye-bye and keep it on Camnet TV. Always do remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.